What was the highest waste of money that you don't regret? Just shy of $20,000 to go to Antarctica traveling solo, small cruise ship. More than I've spent on every other vacation I've taken combined. Was one of the best trips of my life. It also gave me enough space and clarity to realize how toxic my ex was to me so that I could find the strength to leave not long after I got back. I'll always want to go back to Antarctica. The inner peace I found there changed my life. A quick 7-day trip to Maui in February a couple years ago with one of my teenage daughters, who happened to be free the same week I had off. Work was grinding me down, and I needed a break. My wife and the rest of the family couldn't go. They were working or in school. The tickets were expensive, $850 each for bare bones economy narrow rock hard seats. It was a 12-hour flight that was packed to the brim. I was getting bedsores by the time we arrived. We rented snorkeling gear and a car and spent every day from dawn to dusk snorkeling, sitting on the beaches, and hiking in the mountains. We did the Hana Road, the 7 sacred pools and the Halikal Volcano National Park at sunset, and took tons of photos. We ate spam musubi for breakfast, poke and somen noodles for lunch and loco moco for supper. Slept like babies with the windows open wide in the cool nighttime breezes. The best way to blow $5,000 ever. So much what I needed at that point in my life. I spent $300 on a mule. An actual living, 4-hooved, long-eared mule. We raise cattle, so a protection mule was a good excuse. But, really, I just fell in love with him. He's huge and sassy. He'll steal your hat and run away. He's got a ninja mode where he can sneak up on you, just to breathe down your neck or startle you. He does keep the coyotes away. However, he has proved himself priceless, because he eats thistle. When we got the lease on the land for our cattle, the pastures had been neglected, and were in bad shape. Thistle is a spiky plant that spreads across the pasture, choking out grasses. Cows won't eat it. It's really hard to get rid of. To our surprise, the mule cleared out nearly all the thistle in a matter of months. He would eat the flowers out of the center. He saved us an enormous amount of money and labor. We were able to avoid using chemical weed killers, which we really didn't want to do. Probably the best investment in our whole cattle raising experience. I spent too much money on a big treadmill for a very small apartment, but I've ran 15 to 25 kilometers on it every week for the past several years, and it's been incredibly helpful both physically and mentally. Artwork. Can I always afford it? No. But my walls are full of original, 90% local art. They make me happy to look at. I'm sure I made the artist happy too. Spending hundreds of euros on broken musical instruments because they were pretty. I have since bought spare parts and started repairing them. I found my destiny. My couch. I moved out of my mom's house last year, 2019, so no COVID, and I always wanted a good couch. I tested so much. I went to so many furniture stores, looked at so many different models, and then choose mine. It's actually from Ikea. 3 seats and long enough to let someone sleep on it. In a grey, but I saw they were also having a black cover, so I'm thinking about getting that one. Extremely comfortable. I wanted a couch where you could chill out and love how fluffy it is without losing the ability to sit on it. In some couches you are not able to lean on the back and still have a straight back. You can sit on the backboard in the armrests. They are flat, so you can also put a cup of tea on them. It's also not too low, so you don't feel like sitting on the ground, which I do strangely often compared to my love for this couch, but you can let yourself fall onto that damn thing. It also looks easy and simple, so I don't want the suggestion of someone who tried a lot of couches and happens to be me then buy the Vimmel couch from Ikea. Finally found the motorcycle I wanted years ago, but could not get. It was not running, but after around dumping $3,500 into it and doing a full frame up restoration and custom job on it, I have the bike I wanted years ago, but better. Yes, I did everything myself. Full paint job, tank frame, fenders, everything. I also did a full engine rebuild, remade the wiring harness. Everything was all done in-house. So I put a touch over $3,000 into a bike that is only worth about $1,500 on a good day, but hell, it is mine, and I built it. I've been a fat guy all my life. Like, really fat. Dressing comfortably was always my preference, because being stylish just isn't an option at my size. This was always a source of anxiety at any social event that required dressing up. When I realized I had 4 weddings of close friends all coming up within the year, I decided to bite the bullet and get some decent formal clothes. I spent $800 on a suit jacket, $250 on 2 pairs of dress pants, a little over $300 for 3 shirts and 3 silk ties that were between $70 and $100 each. I stood for all my measurements and had everything tailored to my exact specifications. Did a fitting and had a second round of alterations on the pants, so they actually looked decent, even though I wore them under my gut. People were floored when I showed up to the first wedding. I received so many compliments and actual double takes. Being introduced to new people felt completely different. I felt impressive. Some of those weddings were the best times of my life, and it was due, in no small part, to how those clothes looked and made me feel. Some of those friends have big pictures from their weddings hanging on their walls, and I don't cringe in embarrassment when I see myself in them. Those clothes cost more than I had/have ever spent on clothing in any 10-year period, and they were worth every penny. I spent $3,000 for my wife to meet the Backstreet Boys and get front row seats. It is the best thing that has ever happened to her, and the smile on her face after the show and look of pure bliss in someone who suffers often from anxiety was worth every cent. Due to poor insulation and distance from the water heater, my shower is never properly warm in winter. I just bought a single endpoint tankless water heater for just my shower. Best $150 I ever spent. Could I really afford it? No. Did I need it? No. Do I love it? You bet your sweet bippy I do. Back in 2017 my family went on a road trip to Minnesota to visit my nana shortly before she passed. During our stay me and my little sister went to the Mall of America and bought whatever the fuck we wanted. Big ice cream cones, Lego store souvenirs, tickets to the aquarium, fare for every indoor amusement park ride, a doll from the American Girl store, and eating an expensive lunch in the store with your new doll sitting at the table with us. Freak yeah little C's, it's all yours. I dropped over $300 in that one mall trip, but damn was it was one of our best shopping days ever. We still talk about it to this day. Just bought a treadmill. There is a perfectly good street outside I could run on, or I could pay for a gym membership for years and years. But now I can get a run in during my daughter's nap time, or when it's cold, or when I only have 30 minutes free, and driving to and from the gym would eat up half of my time. I certainly could have made it work without this expense, but I really love it. When I was younger I came into a sum of about $15,000. I wasn't very careful with the money, and other than putting $5,000 down on car, I blew the money here and there. But what I put the largest amounts toward were friends in need. I paid one friend's power bill just before it got shut off. I helped another friend keep her water on. I never could keep my hands on money for long, but I don't regret having wasted it helping friends. The summer after graduating high school, I won a decent amount of money playing online poker. Since I wasn't going off to college and all of my friends were, I decided to buy them all ridiculous going away gifts. A carpet, mailbox, toilet seat etc. were among the gifts. The most expensive and ridiculous gift I bought on a whim was a massive wheel of cheese, somewhere between $200 to $300. Little did I know at the time that cheese wheel would set off a yearly event called Cheese Giving, where our entire, much larger now with spouses and kids, friend group gets together to celebrate and partake in cheesy goodness. This year was our 17th, unfortunately all virtual due to COVID, and I genuinely hope it never ends. I went to a Renaissance fair with my husband and some friends. It was his first time, and he's a pretty introverted person, so while he has fun watching everyone else dress up and act all goofy and old to me, he doesn't really participate. When we went to buy our first beer, the wench tried to sell him on one of those big mugs that looks like it's carved out of wood, but it's just plastic. It cost $100. Yes, you get free refills, but we were not planning on drinking $100 worth of beer that day. I could tell by the look on his face that he wanted it. He looked like a little kid at Disney World. Without thinking, I whipped out my credit card and dropped $100 on a crappy plastic mug. All day, he walked around proudly with his mug. He even took some big gulps and cheered Huzzah once or twice. This might not seem like much, but for my quiet gentle giant, it is huge. I manage the finances in our relationship and I'm constantly cracking down on wasteful spending, so I think we were both amazed I made such a dumb purchase. 4 years later, we still have that mug. He gets a big grin every time he sees it and teases me about my irresponsible impulse. And every time I see it, I just think about how much I love that big galoot. This may not seem like a lot of money to some, but I weighted 287 pounds. I lost 100 pounds and my reward was a 300 pair of fry boots. I had been drooling over them for years and finally scrimped and saved to buy them. I told my husband it was my food money. Lol. It was actually my cigarette money. I had quit smoking a year before that, but still faithfully put away 7 a day. I figured that I could always find cigarette money when I smoked, so I will keep finding it to save. I bought a Nintendo Wii that way too. I have never regretted using those boots. I love them. Let me add a note, I had help losing the weight. I had lap band surgery which in of itself is another struggle. The weight came off pretty fast and now it's a bit of a struggle to keep it off. My greatest fear is gaining it back. I have a couple of sisters that had gastric bypass and gained their weight back, so that terrifies me. I'm still about a size 14 which to me is healthy. I'm happy with that.